You see, for decades and decades, I lived in basements and...
That's pretty sick.
Yes, of course. At least he bet on your mom.
Previously on TimeMaster, Jesse met a guy impersonating Billy the Kid. He found out that his sister is dead and that his parents remember the future.
Who the hell are you?
Billy. I knew I'd been in a battle where one of those had been used. She knew that I knew. She'd been there too.
Dad, where's Veronica?
Your sister died last year.
Anyways, back to our plot. Pat Morita shows up just in time to confuse us even more.
I never promised you that you'd be happy with what you'd find. I simply wanted to show you how to get there.
Well, isn't that great? Thanks for showing up, you fucking jerkwad, because you're about to make things even more confusing.
Beyond this entire universe is the planet from which I come. Eons ago, we discovered how to put together computers and machinery and DNA, and then we invented transformers that could pass for anything, except that we could control them. And then we'd send them flying off through the universe with people like me aboard to come and visit planets like yours.
According to Pat Morita, their planet is in an entirely different universe. I thought that they were at the edge of our universe, but no, they're in a different universe. What sucks about this movie is that it can't decide if it wants to be a time travel movie or a movie about traveling through parallel time. So which is it? I don't know at this point, and if the movie doesn't know, I don't know. But according to Pat Morita, they're in a different universe. Oh, and by the way, I did notice that he said that they created DNA.
Eons ago, we discovered how to put together computers and machinery and DNA.
What the fuck is this shit? Is this some sort of Eric Von Donigan ancient alien theory bullshit now?
Offer evidence of a vastly different pre-human evolution than what we are led to believe in our history books. Might it offer indisputable proof of extraterrestrial intervention in the remote past?
As the useless exposition dump continues, we get to hear a story from Pat Morita, which he thinks is really, really funny.
We control the gun that was used in an assassination attempt on Hitler in 1938. Can you imagine what might have happened if we hadn't caused that gun to misfire?
Why would you do that?
Oh, I don't know, for sport, for entertainment, for something to bet on.
That's pretty sick.
Yes, of course.
Wow, what a fucker. If you thought that this guy was a good guy, he's clearly not. He's way too happy with the outcome of not killing Hitler. I mean, look at their face. That face is fucking priceless. That's the face of a smug asshole douchebag. The other reason I bring this scene up is because for 20 years, I attached this scene in particular to another film. And the reason for that was because I fell victim to the Mandela effect. I must have seen this movie back in the 90s at some point, but forgot that I ever saw it. But for whatever reason, I've always equated this scene to belonging to the film Flight of the Navigator, and I don't know why. Flight of the Navigator is a completely different movie made by people who are competent, and it's got Pee Wee fucking Herman.
Whoa! This can't be happening. I think I've gotten some stuff out of your head that has nothing to do with navigating this ship.
How did these two films become one in my brain? I'm not really sure. Maybe there was a double feature or something, but for like 20 years, these two films were the same in my brain. I guess the human memory can be a funny thing, or I'm just stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna go with I'm just stupid. As if this scene wasn't long enough, Pat's still got more shit to unload, and some of it's pretty unsettling.
You see, for decades and decades, I lived in basements, and I had to take charge of other people's garbage and do menial tasks and that sort of thing.
This kid needs to get as far away from this guy as he possibly can. He's admitted to not thinking killing Hitler was a bad idea, and he's admitted to living in fucking basements for years. Now, you can take this any way you want, but for me, I'm calling this guy a fucking creeper. Okay, I lied. That's only half true. Pat here is a maintenance man who somehow didn't know Jesse.
And all the while, people would look right through me as though I were non-existent. You're the only one who ever even bothered to ask me anything other than, when could I fix the radiator in 302? Or what about my toilet leak in 1412?
Like, what? He brought him back from the future and then didn't bother to interact with him? Pat here is like Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars, where he just watched from afar and had to hope that Luke would get curious enough to be a Jedi and not want to be a moisture farmer.
I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Pat's plan is utterly stupid. He brings this kid back solely to help him beat the chairman, takes him back into the past 10 years before the bombs dropped no less, puts him in an orphanage, and then doesn't interact with him. Like, what if Jesse died or got adopted or just had no interest in finding his parents? What about your stupid fucking plan? This movie would have never even taken place. Getting back to the plot, we find out why Pat Morita switched sides. Here's the shortened version. He liked traveling to New York City, more specifically on Thanksgiving Day. That's his favorite holiday. But one year he went, and when he arrived, all he found was nuclear destruction. That's when he decided he was going to change the outcome of the game by helping Jesse win the stupid thing.
Would always bring me to New York City. Thanksgiving Day. The last time I traveled through that crack to get there was Thanksgiving Day, the year 2006. And when I got there, there was no there. There was ruin and rubble and radiation. I'd like to try and show you how to change the future. Not the past or the present, but the future. Come along.
What the fuck is he talking about? Now they're not gonna change the past or the present, but they're only gonna worry about the future? This entire movie's been about changing the past or the present. Remember that shit with Billy the Kid? Oh, I guess we weren't changing the past when we fed a fucking dinosaur a fucking satellite. What about the act of taking Jesse and his sister from the future to the past? Like, God! This movie! And it's like the insanity doesn't stop. The next scene, the very next scene, is full of stupid shit. Case in point.
All right, you two, this is where you say goodbye to each other.
I'm going with him.
You can't go with him. This is your world. You must stay in it.
Did he just make this up? Like, where did this come from? What rule in this movie says that she can't go? He's from another world. He took Jesse from a world he wasn't supposed to be taken from, apparently. What the fuck? And as if this wasn't bad enough, the very next thing that happens is even stupider.
There's something you must know when you set off to travel through time. Once you set foot through those doors, nothing again will ever be the same. And those you leave behind will change.
What about my sister?
Well, you saw what happened to her because you couldn't get back in time.
I don't even know how to begin to describe how stupid of a fucking scene this is. It's so confusing. I don't even know that I could properly explain why this is so dumb. Pat's basically telling Jesse that because he couldn't get back in time, his sister died. Yes, the sister who existed in the Old West, who died a full year before Jesse arrived. I thought he was supposed to come back to the past to save his dad so that his mom wouldn't get turned into blue in the future. So what the fuck is he talking about? His sister would have been dead either way. She died a full year before the events of the game. And it doesn't even matter because until the moment he got there, or maybe the moment when he grabbed the gun, there was a different Jesse occupying that space. There is nothing that Jesse could have done to save his sister. So what was the point of this whole scene? I don't know. Glickenhaus liking the smell of his own fucking farts because he thinks he's real pretentious and smart and he's a fucking asshole and he should never be allowed to write another goddamn movie script as long as he fucking lives. Shut up, Morita. We're done with this scene. We're moving on with the fucking plot. Our intrepid travelers finally leave the Old West and they travel to 2006. Not the 2006 of the Yellowstone future, but the 2006 of 1996 where Jesse left from. And that's when more bullshit happens.
They're old warplanes. They were built to kill people.
They used to fly. They carried bombs. Big bombs. Bombs so big, they could destroy the entire world. Burn down all the cities. And send you back to the Stone Age. I was there. Or was that a dream?
No, it wasn't a dream. It happened. But you see, if we could travel back to where just before it happened, perhaps we could prevent it from happening at all.
Yep, it's more of that shit. Jesse remembers coming from the future. And the less said about this, the better, because frankly, I have beaten this subject to a bloody pulp. So let's just move on with the plot. Our gang goes into a biker bar, and they just happen to run into two familiar faces.
Veronica. How do you know me? Who are you? I'm Jesse. Oh my God. You grew up. Who's she? She's my sister. Oh.
Isaiah, long time no see. Jesse, Annie, time to come home.
That's right, they run into the commander and Veronica 10 years after Jesse left the orphanage. Why the fuck is she here?
You said that you would come back, Jesse, and you didn't come back.
I did come back. The timing's messed up, that's all. But I'll fix it. Isaiah, tell her.
I'm gonna wake up, and you are gonna come back. You are not gonna let them throw me out into the street.
Oh, that's because she got kicked out of the orphanage. That explains that. Why is it that out of all the times and places they could have time traveled to, she just happens to be there? That feels like a bit of a stretch, but I guess for this movie, this is one of its lesser offenses. But what I will not let go is the fact that she is 16 years old and she's hanging out at a biker bar with a bunch of gross fucking old men. That is unacceptable.
Yeah, that's gross.
Time's running out for our gang, so they jump a truck, they leave Vanessa behind, but they're still being pursued by the commander. And that's when Michelle Williams has her big moment to help out. I never said it was cool, but, you know, it's Michelle Williams in this movie. What were you expecting?
Get in!
You know what? It's probably a good idea. This movie was feeling a bit bloated with characters anyway, so she can stay behind. It's cool. They finally, mercifully make it to the fucking game homeworld, and we get to see Blue in action. I'm pretty shocked that I went this long without talking about this stupid shit. Blue is the substance that the game is played for. It basically makes you live forever. But if you stop taking it, you will eventually grow old super fast and die. Blue is the entire reason that this culture exists and their entire reason for being. The movie only happens because people are literally addicted to drugs. I'm thinking this maybe should have been an anti-drug movie because the people who made this fucking thing were definitely on drugs.
Remember, winners don't do drugs.
Remember back at the beginning of the movie when we saw this stupid sign for Palisade Cities? Yeah, the one that says, at the edge of the universe? Well, yeah, guess what? The movie's about to drop an atomic bomb on your fucking head.
Oh my God. Does that mean that...
That thermonuclear warfare melted the polar ice caps and flooded the world as you knew it? What you see happened. But it doesn't mean that it happened yet, nor that it can't be prevented.
In case you didn't get that, I don't blame you. But long story short, these people who are from another universe, they're fucking Earthlings. When our group of idiots turns around, they see that New York City has been flooded due to the polar ice caps melting, which, by the way, would never fucking happen. That can mean only one thing, that the people running the game lived through the nuclear holocaust of 2006. So at the end of the day, all of this talk about parallel universes and blah, 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 these people live on Earth and they're human. Hell, they might even come from the same universe that Jesse comes from. Maybe they inhabit a parallel universe, it's really not the point. My point is, the bombs dropped and they somehow forgot that they were human and that they lived on Earth. They live in the year 2008. It's been barely 2 years since the bombs dropped. How the fuck did they forget all of this? It's like our group of dipshits turn around and they're like, oh, there's New York City and it's completely flooded. Like, don't insult our fucking intelligence, asswipes. I mean, I want to know, did any of the veteran actors, when they read the script the first time, did any of them raise any concern that the plot makes no sense and that it doesn't work? I don't think so. I think we can leave the nonsense and go take a look at our final cameo.
How old are you, Pops?
24. I'll be 24 next month.
How much life extender do you have, son?
4 months. And I want to bet it all.
You're 24. You look like you're 102. You have 4 months of blue, and you want to bet it all?
Good old Zelda Rubinstein of Poltergeist fame. Why is she in this movie? I don't have a fucking clue. Maybe she needed to do something in between gigs of World's Scariest Places? I don't know, but this is all she does, and that's pretty much about it.
Good luck.
Jesse and Co. enter the arena, and he gets to see his mother, and he doesn't say anything to her.
Oh my God. It's my mom.
Wait till you see your dad.
He just stands there and goes, there's my mom. Wasn't the whole point to come here to save his fucking parents? Seriously though, why doesn't he break ranks and try to free her? He could kill a bunch of the guards and set her free, but instead he just stands there with a thumb up his ass watching her play the fucking game. Speaking about the game, let's get to our next match, which happens to be a rematch between Evelyn and Mortar, but this time things are a little bit different.
You have offended my family. You've offended the Shaolin Temple.
Gone is the Old West backdrop, obviously, and Jonathan is apparently healed from being shot. He is now a Shaolin monk, which, fuck you, he's about as much of a Shaolin monk as this plot is coherent. And Mortar, well, he has a new pawn, who looks like a Power Rangers villain. What the fuck happened to Belching Man? These guys look nothing alike. So they're supposed to be in like a martial arts movie or something, but these guys look like Circus Soleil rejects. And they fight on fucking gymnastic equipment. What martial arts are they doing, Gymkata? Anyways, Mordor loses, and we finally get to see what happens when your pawn dies. God, even for 1995, that is some horrific CGI. I guess the people who made this film thought people were gonna be shocked, but no one is shocked. The only thing shocking about this movie is that it ever got greenlit. With the game done and Mordor turned into blue, Jesse and Co. are captured by the chairman's goons. It is really nice of Evelyn to do nothing as her son is dragged away to his sure demise. What a great mother. Morita and the kids are taken to see the chairman, who instead of killing them makes them an offer to play the game.
Behind those 3 paintings are 3 cracks. One leads to your father, one leads to your sister, and one leads to the kitchen of the White House early Thanksgiving morning in the year 2006. Now, we're going to play the game in a little while. And if you win, I'll allow you to walk through whichever crack you want.
Jesse is given the choice to join his dad and possibly become a Shaolin monk, go back to 1996 and live with his sister at the orphanage, or try and stop the end of the world. If this was my choice, I'd go back to 2006, steal a nuke, bring it back to this place, and kill these sons of bitches. Oh, and by the way, before we get to the final game, there needs to be one more load of bullshit dumped on our fucking heads.
If I go through the crack that leads to the White House kitchen, will I be able to stop what you've set up?
That's up to you. Even if you could stop me, what's to say I wouldn't do it again?
He's bluffing, Jesse. He can't control the cracks.
Yeah, that's right. They don't even control the time cracks. I thought they mastered time travel. Why else is it called TimeMaster? So basically what the movie's telling us is that these guys can only predict where the time cracks are going to show up. They're kind of like meteorologists. They can only give you a probability of what's going to be, not what actually is. So they're not so much as time masters as they are time writers, which is really not all that cool. God, these people suck. The time for the final game that will decide everything has come. And God, does Michael Dorn look hilarious in that fucking visor. Our final arena for the game is in the mountains, quite possibly the Alps, and we join Jonathan, maybe eating lunch. They needed an RPG for one guy? It's kind of overkill. He's not fucking Rambo, he's Jonathan. What kind of action are we in for? Well, it's ski crap that isn't very exciting. As the game continues, the chairman loses his pawns. For example, one of them falls off a cliff. Another one of his pawns loses, well, you'll see. Is totally that guy's own fault. Maybe if he had spent less time trying to be Tony Hawk on skis and trying to kill the guy, he wouldn't have fallen off his fucking skis. Why does he throw the ski? Why doesn't he just get back on the damn thing and get back in the chase? Like, whatever. And the third guy, well, just watch. Why did they wait till the 11th hour to pull out the guns? They could have just had the shootout at the top of the mountain. That would have saved us like 5 minutes of screen time instead of having to watch all this skiing bullshit. Oh shit, I forgot that there was one pawn left. What happens? Okay, that'll do. Well, the chairman's been defeated, so what's gonna happen to Evelyn?
Evelyn's just jumped out the crack that leads to her pawn. Do you want me to send someone after her?
She can't be real. Now she's standing right in front of me.
It's over. I'm real. Touch me.
Wait a minute. She fled through a crack to be with Jonathan? She saw her kid there, and she just left to be with her husband? What the fuck kind of parent is that? She decided that her husband was more important than the child she created? God, this whole movie is just like one big fuck you to the goddamn audience. Wasn't the whole point of this movie for Jesse to find his parents, and when he does, they just abandon him? I think we can safely say that Jesse is far better off living at the orphanage and never having any more contact with these fucking parents. They're awful.
How touching. They'll have at least 9 months to get to know each other before I destroy their pathetic little planet.
Oh good, more bullshit. That means his parents are in 2006, right before the nukes fall. Which timeline is this even attached to? Is this the older Veronica timeline, or is this the original timeline that they all came from? Don't know because it's never brought up again. Just one more plot point brought up and then abruptly dropped. The time has finally come to say goodbye to Pat Morita.
That's the gun that Billy the Kid used. Aren't you coming with us?
No, I can't. I'm addicted to blue. If I don't get some soon, I'm going to die.
Wait, what? He had a gun the entire time? Why didn't he use it to kill the fucking chairman? That would have solved quite a bit. And what's this shit about him being addicted to blue? This feels like it just came out of left field. I mean, this guy's been living all over the place for all these years and now he's only running out of blue? Like, he looked like this at the beginning of the movie. Did he have like a backstock of this shit and he was just sort of taking it? Because it looks like it wasn't really doing much to help him because he still looks like an old dude. So I don't know what to tell you, but what I can tell you with some certainty is that once Jesse leaves, Pat is going to have his ass fried. Did he really think that the chairman was just going to sit by and do nothing against him? Morita is the main dude who fucked up the chairman's plans. I'm pretty sure he's going to kill the shit out of this guy. At the very least, he's going to make him play the game until they suck him dry. I mean, that's what any sane villain would do, but with this movie, who the fuck knows? And what choice did Jesse make?
Morning.
Jesse chose to save the future, but not before 2 people were killed. The Secret Service is going to have a hard time writing this report, especially the guy who was killed by an egg beater. What a craptacular way to die, being strangled by an egg beater. Well, Jesse averted the end of the world and made it back to his time.
Jesse, the new headmaster wants to see you.
Wow, that guy sounds like Igor or Tom from Harry Potter. I guess every orphanage has to have its own hunchback. Oh, and by the way, Jesse returned to 1996. Should he not have returned to 2007 where he was originally from? Would that not have made more sense?
Apparently not.
Jesse's been reunited with his sister, and we find out that they can stay at the orphanage till they find parents.
So Jesse, nobody's going to separate you from your sister. In fact, you both can stay here as long as you want until we find a couple that wants to adopt both of you, okay?
Dad, can I go outside and play?
This is my daughter, Annie. Annie, this is Jesse and his sister, Veronica.
Aw, man, fuck you. What the fuck is she doing here? Shouldn't she have been returned to the Old West? Why is she in 1996? Didn't Pat Morita give her shit about going back to her own time, which happened to be the Old West? What kind of nonsense is this?
You can't go with him. This is your world. You must stay in it.
Yeah, no, he did, so I guess whatever, right? How about that ending?
Jesse boy, if you can read this, I guess it means people will be watching football in that little bar on 48th and Broadway on Thanksgiving Day 2006. Look for me around corners. I'll be there. Brother Isaiah.
Wow, what a happy ending. He and his sister are still orphans and they're still abandoned by their parents. The only thing that changed was that Michelle Williams is in 1996. Well, whoop-de-flippin' Wilson do. Who gives a shit? He saved the future, but the movie's right back where they started. I guess he set out to find his parents, and technically he did, but getting to live with them, fuck that. Well, I'm glad that's done. This is without a doubt the most confusing movie I have ever seen. Thankfully, this would be the last film ever written and directed by James Glickenhaus, and thank Odin because he is fucking terrible. It's also not surprising that Shapiro-Glickenhaus Entertainment, who made the movie, went out of business after this movie. Whether this movie had anything to do with that, I can't confirm, but I sure as hope to fuck it did. So, till next time, and TimeMaster, this is for you. A wise man once said, "Hey, lick my plate, you dog dick!"